So those of you who are popping on, feel free to ask some questions to Coach Maas here. We'll follow those as we go and ask some of them toward the end. So, all right, with that, we're going to get started. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Parkside Live. We're excited tonight to have Coach Nick Maas with us, our great leader of the cross country and track and field programs. So we'll catch up with him about all of his programs and his first year at the helm here for us. So excited to be with him. Tonight's episode, we are fortunate to have BSN Sports as our sponsor tonight. We launched earlier this week an online store kind of geared around the idea that a couple of things. One, we've got a number of recruits committing to us right now. We'll also talk about that later on because you have an army of them coming in to your programs. We've got graduating seniors, parents out there that may be looking to get some Ranger gear and some swag. And it's just tough to do right now. Obviously, the bookstore's not open. Our store's not open for game day and event day. So I'm excited to launch that this week. There's some great stuff in there. And the proceeds from that are going to support our student-athlete scholarships and kind of specifically with the idea that we may need a few more dollars in the scholarship budget next year to support our spring sport student-athletes that are coming back to compete. And, again, we'll talk about that with you a little bit as well as we go. So, anyway, thanks for joining me. Again, ask some questions along the way here, everybody watching. So, Coach, how are you tonight? Doing well?
Doing good, yeah. It's been a good day so far. I had a couple of meetings. Our men's team did a meeting today. Our women's team had a meeting yesterday, and we're trying to get to know some of our new people that'll be joining us here soon. So yeah, it's a pretty good day for us.
Awesome, good deal. I want to rewind a little bit to start and talk about you were hired as our coach last July. So it seems like a long time ago, and I mean that as a compliment. You're really ingrained in our family and our department. Did that really quickly along with your family, but just kind of talk a little bit about your first year, the whirlwind of, really kind of getting hired right up against the gun for cross country getting going in the fall, and just talk a little bit about your first year and your experience here with us.
Yeah. It's been an awesome experience. It's been an interesting and awesome experience, especially, the last couple months, but early on, I think my first day was July 22nd. And then the team showed up 2 weeks later. So it was a week and a half, 2 weeks later. So it was pretty quick whirlwind, getting to know everybody, trying to figure. I had the team on campus before I even had an ID or had access to a lot of things, my email, those kinds of things. So it was an interesting transition. But for me, it's been pretty easy and seamless because of the people at Parkside. That's what has made it so easy for me and for my family is it was never difficult to walk into another office of a coach or administrator and get the help that I needed. And I kind of saw that right off the bat when I interviewed. And speaking of that too, so when I got back to the hotel, my wife actually came because she wanted to check out the town when I was interviewing. And she's like, okay, if you get an offer, I want to see if this is a great place for us and all that kind of thing. And I remember going back into the hotel room and being like, I hope to God they make me an offer. This place is awesome. They're good people. Just a really good vibe going on here, good energy. And so that part was awesome. And then we just kind of got rocking and rolling from here. And cross country season was a whirlwind. And then got to catch my breath just a little bit during the winter break. And then we hit it again running quite literally during the indoor track season and had some really good success. And I'm excited for the kids for what they did and were able to accomplish, and not only athletically, but academically. And then just coming together as a really strong culture. It's a great group of student athletes that we've got right now.
So before we kind of get a little bit more to that culture building and your group of athletes on the roster, just talk a little bit about what drew you to the job. And I want to specifically get your impressions too about our course. So obviously, for those that don't know, we say obviously. For those that don't know, we're really fortunate at Parkside to have one of the best cross-country courses in the country, especially on a college campus, right, not too far away from where we live and operate. And where our locker rooms are and all that, just what an asset that is. Just tell people a little bit about that course and your impressions of it coming in.
Yeah, I've known about the course for a long, long time. I mean, I think anybody that's in our profession kind of knows about it just from the numerous meets it's hosted, national championships, host the Foot Locker Regional every year. It's a pretty special place. I'm out there actually right now. I'm running quite a bit, and I've been out there 3 or 4 days a week running on my own in the mornings, checking out the course. And of course I can't help but like look at things and be like, okay, we need to do this and we need to do that. And just to, it's always a good way to kind of make little adjustments to get it ready for the season. But that is fantastic. The trails we have right off of campus is fantastic. The indoor 200-meter track that we have and facility there in the field house in Petretti is phenomenal to have, especially living in Wisconsin. We utilize that probably more than any other space. And so it's a pretty special place for us to train just all around. We're constantly seeing some upgrades too. I've seen some splashes of paint going on in the field house and some other things that are going on that I'm really, really excited about. And that was part of that intriguing factor is seeing that, like you had mentioned, that the Proud Forward Together piece is that forward piece. We're proud of kind of where we've been, but we don't want to stop moving forward. And that's one of our taglines too in our team is always moving together in the right direction. And so like all of those things kind of match up with that and excite me every day that I get to be a Ranger myself.
Yeah, Coach and I give each other a little bit of a hard time because one of our themes for this year with Parkside Athletics has been Proud Forward Together, and really the foundation and the core of the program that he's building is Forward Together. So we kind of give each other a hard time about who stole that from who, but I do like
definitely my idea.
And
definitely my idea.
Right. I mean, I thought of it in June before you even entered. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Uh-huh. Not an issue. We're just excited to support each other. And speaking of support, well, first of all, I want to say the Wayne Donnell National Cross Country Course. Look it up if you're not familiar with it, certainly. And thinking about maybe some recruits checking this out later. It's an awesome course. And we do want to thank Pete Hinckus for his passion and dedication to that course over the years and on in the future. We're really fortunate to have Pete as an asset and a passionate member of our team. But you talked a lot about the year and support. You didn't talk about this, and I think it's popping up here. But so I want to make sure everybody gets to see this.
I should have known that one was going to
come. So on New Year's Eve, Coach Maas, because he is all in, literally here, made a challenge and said that if the program raised X amount of dollars, that he would jump in Lake Michigan on New Year's Eve. So he did that. And I think everyone needs another look at this if they've seen it before. And if not, chance to check this thing out.
Oh, man, how cold that was. I can feel it.
Do you remember the temperature?
I just remember it being ridiculously cold. I don't know what it was, but it was cold. I remember I jumped in, my hair froze like upon hitting the water. I could feel it freeze up. My daughter was there, Andrew was there, Chris Barker was there too. Those guys came down and supported. Yeah, that was I remember sprinting. We were trying to find a place to get warm and get some clothes on and stuff, and we had a little porta potty that happened to be open and like sprinted over there, and it was it took me quite a while to warm back up.
Yeah, it was cold that day. And I asked what the temperature was. I was only talking about outside the water. I don't know what it was inside the water, but shout out to you for doing that. Cold. I had to bring that back up. I hadn't seen it in a while, so I was lucky to have that footage on my phone ready to share here tonight. So
I'm glad you did. So and I know our time's limit, but I gotta say, like, one of the reasons I did that, I think two of the biggest reasons that I did that is one, I want to show kind of everybody in the Ranger Nation that, if I say something, I'm going to do it. And so that's always been my mentality is I'm not going to kind of sit back and be like, oh, I'll maybe do it, and then just chicken out at the end. If I say something, I'm probably going to do that thing. And it's not just to the Ranger Nation. It's also my 5-year-old that's in the other room is I want her to understand that, we own our promises. And so if we make a commitment to a people, to a place, to an idea, that we have to kind of own up to that idea. So that's my little spout, but I had to say that.
No, that's awesome. It was cool that Katie was there, and we got a little pizza afterwards, had a good time. And I think it also is it does show you are in yourself invested, obviously, in the forward together mindset. And some of that is you were really good this year about intentionally reaching out to the alumni base and connecting with the past and the tradition of the programs. And, that was part of it as well, as some of those people supported the campaign to help support your programs and obviously led to you getting a little cold that morning. But it was fun, and definitely wanted to bring that back up. So let's talk a little bit just more about the culture, the foundation that you tried to lay this year. Obviously, the season for you guys really never ends. You guys are kind of competing, training on mode year round, and that's true of your program every year. But like many of our student athletes and programs, abruptly came to an end, in March. So just talk a little about the culture, the foundation that you tried to lay this year, and then how are you continuing that? You mentioned some virtual team meetings, and how are you trying to build on that even in our current environment?
Yeah, it's coming in right away, we kind of had to establish our identity a little bit. What are we trying to seek out? And the team, I think the good part about the team this year is that they were a little heavy on the upperclassmen side. And so very mature, had a good mindset about what they wanted to accomplish. And I kind of went on the front of what do they want the team to look like? What do they feel the direction should be? And then sort of piggybacked off of their ideas and rolled with that. Because ultimately, each current team that you have, it's their team. And so I always want them to be fully invested in what we're trying to do and moving, again, that forward together piece is we got to do it together. And so that was really, really important. Also, and then I just kind of come in and some of the mentorship pieces and use some of my experience to talk to them about, the ins and outs and what to do and what not to do and how to communicate and those types of things. But they're the ones that drive it. They drive us in the correct direction. And to be honest, also having the people around that know that background and where it came from in the past is helpful. Evan Lewandowski was our graduate assistant this year. It was awesome having him around day to day. I'm going to miss him because he's a Parkside grad, was on the program when they had a lot of success, and he helped kind of guide me through that process. That this is where it was, this is where we're going, and it's exciting to have him there to help out with that piece too. So, yeah, I mean, it was really good building that foundation of a culture, and now I'm excited with this big class that we've got coming in to continue that growth. And so some of the things you mentioned, so we've had to improvise, adapt, and overcome is something I say quite a bit. My kids hear it all the time. They probably get annoyed by it a little bit, but I come from kind of a heavily based military family. So a lot of people in my family have been in the military, and that's definitely a Marine tagline. And I just love it. And so lately we've been doing a lot of Zoom calls pretty regularly. This week we've got 3 of them with the team. Actually 4, because I do a coffee with coach on Monday mornings where they can just sit and hang out, and we have our favorite morning beverage and just chat about what's going on in life. And we get a small group for that, so it's a nice way for us to connect. And then the other big meetings, we discuss maybe current issues that are going on, how are we addressing those. And then we're learning today and yesterday it was about what new skill are you learning during quarantine, and that's been pretty interesting to hear some of the stuff people have been doing to make up for some of the time that they have available now. So yeah, we really like where we're going, and now we just have to kind of change things a little bit to keep it going.
So you referenced recruiting. I think it seems like the number changes every day. That's a good thing. I think we have 24 recruits, commits headed here for next season to join the program. So talk a little bit about, obviously, that group and what you're excited about, but also just in general, how you kind of attack recruiting in year one. That's one of the early things as a new coach that you've got to lay that foundation too, of what type of student athlete you're going to go after, make the connections in the state, in the region, and beyond, which is an interesting thing about your recruiting as well. So just give us a little bit of an insight on recruiting to Parkside over the last few months, and that big, great class, talented class that you're excited about coming in.
Yeah. So that was, I did that like day one. And if you talk to my assistant coach, Carly Failer, she would say before day one, I was reaching out and trying to just get things started in terms of names and who are we looking at and those types of things. What have we done in the past? And that's what you have to do. I think recruiting is kind of the lifeblood. If you're not recruiting, you're not going to be successful. And so we, one of the things that I say a lot is that I've been doing it for a while now, and I did it wrong for early part of my career, I would say, and then I've evolved it and gotten a lot better as a recruiter myself. And where I've gone in that pathway is I started out with me kind of doing everything, and I've leaned a lot more towards getting our student athletes actively kind of involved, like doing campus tours, which is fantastic, and just giving feedback on recruits that they may have seen or heard about on in and about campus or at track meets or whatever. That's been huge this year. I'd say that's probably the biggest factor. We get a kid on campus, we want them to spend as much time as possible hanging out with our team, seeing the dorms and getting a good feel for them, because ultimately, I'm the coach and that's I get to kind of tell them what to do, sort of, but they're going to be around those folks all the time, inside of practice, outside of practice. They're going to rely on each other. They're going to have to trust each other. And so we found that those are our biggest assets, are our student athletes themselves. And so I kind of rely on their guidance too. Like, hey, do you think this person is a good fit for our program? And they'll tell us, yeah, they're awesome. They'll fit in great. Or, I'm not sure if this person will be a good fit for us, which is also really important, that fit to Parkside. We're really looking for people that are very passionate about Parkside as a whole. So invested, going to bleed black and green and like be really fired up about what we're doing, make that green choice to be here. Just funny. So I say that too. I put that on like Twitter whenever we get somebody that does that or we do a good choice. So my daughter at daycare, they talk about red choices and green choices. Red choices are like bad choices and green choices are good choices. And so we always say that we make the green choice, and so it works out. Works out really well.
I never knew Katie was the reason behind that.
She's the reason behind a lot of things. Funny enough.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, so. Right. So kids are a reason behind a lot of things. But she's kind of been that inspiration for some of those things too. And but kind of going back to recruiting, is we wanted to be well-rounded, but we knew we needed to become a bigger, more well-rounded team to be successful on the GLIAC level, the conference level, the regional level, and ultimately the national level. To be successful, we have to have a broader base of folks on the team. So we just kind of went out, and it's constant calls, it's constant emails, and these days, text messages and Zoom calls and things like that we're doing. And it's a daily thing to be speaking to these student athletes and garnering interest, and coaches, talking to a lot of coaches out there too, and getting feedback from them. And my assistants have done a fantastic job with that as well, just kind of helping keep things all organized. For us, we're the biggest team within athletics, and we can kind of have an unlimited sized roster. Now, we don't want to get overwhelmed where I can't give that good one-on-one attention, and we can't focus, all of our energies on each individual as well. But we hit up a lot of numbers. I mean, those that maybe have seen us around campus, we've probably had 150, 200 kids, walking around campus at one point or another throughout the year, if not more than that. And so, but it's been great. 24. Our original goal was, I said, realistically, we'll get 15. We're going to work really hard, try to get 15. If we get 20, that'd be a nice max goal. And then we start 21, 22, 23. So it's been pretty special, pretty awesome. And we're thinking we'll probably get to about 26 So 26, maybe a 27th, and which would be kind of mind blowing a little bit, and exciting at the same time. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you referenced the GLIAC, and I've said it a number of times since we joined the conference. One of the exciting things, and it's absolutely true in both cross and track, is that if you're competitive in the GLIAC, you're competitive nationally. And but as you referenced, that takes a depth of your roster, certainly in cross country and track and field both, to catch up. We are catching up with so many of the powerhouses of Grand Valley and Ashland and so many others that are really, really strong in your sports. And I know this is true of a lot of your student athletes, but Ramon Romero, I've caught him on a couple of those recruiting visits you referenced, and just stay out of the kid's way. He's so engaging, and he's brought your recruits by my office unannounced, and I think that's great. It shows his relationships that he has, and same with Chris Barker, where he'll, and so many of your recruits will come and meet with us, and shows that relationship and the opportunity to just pop in, and it's great. Sit down and have a conversation for 10 or 15 minutes with the recruit. Try not to screw up. Your good work and Ramon's good work, and the staff you mentioned that's been a huge part of this as well. So. But that's been fun to watch, kind of your student athletes and so many of our student athletes. It's so important that they embrace their role in the recruiting process. So well done. Congrats. Kudos to you guys for working so hard, and really can't wait to meet all those new faces, the ones I haven't yet. So the other side of recruiting, which is unique to this spring, unique to the COVID situation, is you guys will have a few student athletes back next year that we weren't expecting. So just talk a little bit about that in terms of the opportunity to welcome back some of the experience you mentioned, some of your really, really strong seniors.
Yeah, we've got a few that have decided they're gonna take on that I wouldn't call it an extra year, a missed year, and so we're excited about those folks coming back, and they're ones that have already had a lot of good success for us. And there's a couple that have still kind of been tossing around the idea of possibly coming back. We had a call today, and one of the gentlemen on the team was I don't know yet. So, which is pretty exciting. And I wasn't at any point kind of getting into pressure that, hey, you need to come back to all this. It's what's best for them. And so we had a lot of those conversations. Hey, what's best for you? And is it best to come back another year? Is it best to, hang up the spikes? You decide what's best for you, and we'll talk about those things. But it would be great, having them come back with all their experience that they've got as well. The ones that have sort of earmarked and said that they're planning on coming back, like Amanda Johnson. She's coming back for ultimately a sixth year and she'll be finishing up her grad program as well. And she's fantastic. She's involved in SAC. She's a great student, good leader. And then also Justin Stewart, Keandre Henderson, they're phenomenal sprints, jumps guys for us, and good leaders as well, good height guys for us. And so it's going to be awesome to have them back as well. So that's fantastic. It's too bad that it had to happen. But that's kind of the way life rolls, and we, like I said, improvise, we adapt, we overcome, and we try to move forward as best we can and try to be positive about it. When all this happened, there were a lot of people out and about that are kind of hanging their heads, and there still are a lot today, and people struggling with stuff. And my first mindset was, okay, let's rock and roll. What do we got to do? What do we got to do to keep going and not try to stress too much and try to stay focused? And so that's kind of been our goal in communication as well.
Yeah, I think I can relate, trying not to get impatient and understanding, as a country and as a world, we're doing what we need to be doing right now. And so you need to be patient, but yeah, trying to keep the momentum rocking and rolling and using the opportunity. We all get the same amount of hours in every day that we had pre-COVID right now. So we can choose to use them or not. And I think that's what's been really cool to watch about our staff is we're using them and to get better and to do things maybe we wouldn't have had time to do otherwise, but that are going to be good for Parkside Athletics and Parkside. One other just quick note, this is on my mind in part because I listened to Chancellor Ford present today to the Board of Regents, but one interesting thing about the decisions some of these spring seniors have, especially those that have graduated or will be graduating here this month, is the growth of UW Parkside's graduate programs makes the opportunity to come back that much more worthy of consideration. And for some, as you referenced, the best thing for them is to hang it up, go to the grad program that they were planning to go to elsewhere, go to the jobs that they have lined up, the other opportunities. But the growth of our grad programs at the university, which has been a key driver of enrollment and other things, also makes these opportunities, that much better for some of these spring seniors that, hey, I can come back and get working on another degree. And that's a pretty cool opportunity for them. So I just definitely wanted to note that. All right, Coach, we're up against the clock a little bit. We got a few minutes here. So we got some rapid fire questions. And if anybody wants to fire a question at Coach here in the meantime, you let us know. So I know you're spending a lot of time at home with Katie, juggling the work, and Mandy doing the same. But what is your favorite quarantine activity with your daughter right now?
Oh, wow. Oh, to be honest, we do a lot of different things. So I have an elementary education degree, and so we utilize that and do some different lessons and stuff. But actually, my favorite thing is in the afternoons most days, if it's nice enough. We go on a hike, and she loves going on hikes. So we go over to the cross country course, and we go walk along the beach. Or that's been my favorite part. She just loves getting out, and when we go on hikes, she takes off too. She's faster than Daddy, so she's just like, I have to try and yell and keep up with her. But that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I've seen some videos. She's definitely not shying away from becoming a runner, which is pretty awesome. So, you may have just answered this question. If you weren't a track and cross country coach, is that what you think you'd be doing? Is teaching in elementary school?
Yep. It's hard to say. Probably. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't. That's a great question. I think that's probably the route that I would go.
Any new shows you've picked up since staying at home? Your probably TV looks a lot like mine when it's on, and it's not at your control.
It's a lot of cartoons. Luckily, she has an iPad all her own, so we can watch other things too. But let's see. We're watching New Amsterdam. It's kind of a medical type show. My wife and I really love that. Lilyhammer. It's a show on Netflix. It's kind of like a crime type show. It has one of the guys that was from The Sopranos on it. So we just watched all 3 seasons of that already. That's gone, but those are kind of the 2 main ones, I think.
And any new hobbies as well? And actually, you referenced your team talking about some of the things that they're learning to do. Anything that stuck out from your squad of cool things that they're picking up?
Yeah, for me, probably 10 years ago, I had bought a guitar. My wife bought me a guitar for a gift, and then I practiced for a little while and then put it away and haven't touched it. So I picked that back up and started kind of messing around with my acoustic guitar. Just try to get in 10, 15 minutes a day and get practicing again. The guys and gals have been doing a lot of crazy stuff. Some of the guys are learning to juggle. I don't know where that plays in, but they want to do that. A lot of instruments and stuff people are doing. Brock Eves is always trying to learn new survival skills, it seems like, in the woods and back behind his house. A lot of different things. Baking, I've heard, guys and gals, they're learning how to cook and bake and things like that too. So that's been interesting. One of the guys is talking about making bagels. Blaine Masterson, I think, was talking about that. And so there's a lot of interesting new things people are doing.
Learning how to cook's probably more useful as they go on in life than learning how to juggle, but either way, that sounds fun either way. What's your most memorable moment about your college career as an athlete? I haven't talked to anything about that.
Oh, wow, you had to do that.
I know that's a long time ago, Coach.
I have a lot of great memories. I competed 3 years at Division III school, and then in graduate school I had a year of eligibility, and I competed at Division I school. There's great experiences from each of those opportunities. I think all of my favorite memories are running at the Drake Relays when I was in college, or even just getting a chance to attend the Drake Relays. It's just always a special place for me. That's where our state meet is in Iowa. There was one year where I got to anchor one of our relays in college, and I posted it on Instagram recently. I got to anchor one of the relays, and then just after I got done, I got to meet the second fastest miler of all time, Bernard Lagat. Got my picture taken with him, and that was pretty special for me. It's my sophomore, junior year of college. So that was pretty cool, but met a lot of interesting people and did a lot of really awesome training and racing and stuff through college. But those are some of the ones that stick out.
And just to be clear, second fastest miler of all time, not to you, but somebody else holds that distinction, right?
Somebody else, yeah.
Okay. Actually, we have a question. Who would run the fastest mile out of the entire Parkside Athletics staff? And would it be you? My assumption is it would be you, but I don't know.
Do we count GAs and stuff? Because Evan would whoop my butt. I know that.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
It'd have to go with Evan.
We count on their staff.
If we're counting GAs, then Evan's got it hands down. I don't even.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Although Sean, our athletic trainer Sean, he's pretty quick himself too. So those guys are pretty good. But I would still say Evan.
Late night snack. What's your go-to?
Chips and salsa.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah, I love it.
Favorite athlete growing up?
Ooh, favorite athlete growing up. Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I got a lot. Depends on the sport. I grew up, so I'm watching The Last Dance. Michael Jordan, man. I grew up watching Jordan. He was the man. And now a lot of the kids these days are talking about LeBron, and now they're seeing what Jordan did, and how he acted. I gotta go that way. Baseball, Ryan Sandberg was my all-time favorite baseball player.
Rhonda Eve says Carly would have won. She's a boss, which she is.
I would say if it was anything under one lap on the track, Carly by far would beat anybody on the staff. Above one lap, sorry, Carly. She'll probably freely admit that.
And then what's your favorite sports movie?
I don't know, man. That's a good one. I've watched all the Prefontaine movies. Those are all great. Gotta like that. Chariots of Fire. I know it's kind of old school and all that, but I like that one. That's probably one of my favorites. Carly
said she would actually argue a half lap. That's as much as she would do.
Yeah,
I appreciate the honesty there. She also mentioned one of your women's athletes is starting to grow her own tree nursery. But that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good use of newfound time, so that's pretty awesome. So, any parting shots here, Coach?
No, I'm happy to have been on this. It's been awesome. I don't have any parting shots or anything like that beyond that, but I'm thrilled about where we're going as a whole athletic department. I'm thrilled with kind of the crew that we've got on our staff and some additions that we're going to be having in terms of the roster and all that kind of stuff. So it's an exciting time to be a Ranger, and I'm fired up to keep rolling with it.
A few more spots left on the roster, he said. So
more spots.
You don't know. We don't know who else will make a green choice here in the coming weeks. But Coach, appreciate the time. It's been fun. Thrilled to have you on board here, and look forward to getting going again here in this next year. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.